I hooked my internet router up to the UPS as well, and it turned out that when I did so, the I guess the junction boxes between me and the telephone pole have some kind of battery backup. So as long as my router is on my battery, I'm okay.
Oh, well.
But I don't have the expensive UPS that Jeff does. So when I lose power, I can only go for about 15 minutes before everything craps out, maybe 10. But a lot of the time, my power outages are only like a minute.
Yeah.
So the Beats FM, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's got beats, yo.
Yo. Yeah, so this thing's pretty slick. Get back to my page here.
It's I linked the Indiegogo campaign. It's fairly interesting. It's essentially they describe it as an analog audio path with digital delay, and it's an equivalent of 8 modules enclosed in an elegant case.
Ooh.
With an antenna. I really like how they go hard after the fact that it has an antenna.
Yes.
Which I think is very good. And so it has one. And they're pretty far right now from meeting their funding goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flexible goal, and those flexible goal projects feel like extra sketchy to me, but they have 16 days left. They have 19 backers. They're 28% of the way through their funding goal. So they've got 15,000 of 53,000 raised. So if y'all want to get in on this thing, you're gonna have to pony up your 750 euro bucks.
Ooh, Euro bucks.
I do know a Canadian that I think would consider buying this.
A Canadian?
So, Ken Marshall.
Oh yeah, he probably like this.
So he has actually made something similar to this using FM radios, sometimes car stereos, and noise gates.
Mm-hmm.
And he used this in the puppy stuff of the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls it a radio gator.
Yeah.
And basically, he'll have these FM stations going, and then he sets up triggers so that you can turn them on or off, or you can control them with an LFO. And you just randomly tune them and put it between stations, or you go into a station. And you can get really interesting stuff. So he now lives out in the middle of nowhere. So instead what he uses is he takes long recordings of radio and then he triggers those just snippets of those recordings that are just running through with other things and a noise gate. And then the trick he uses, in case it might be, wait, that's recognizable, I know what that is. For example, in Skinny Puppy's Ain't It Dead Yet live video where they're using the radio gator in the intro, there's clearly Barbara Streisand that gets triggered.
Yeah.
And so the trick he uses is like, all right, so if you think there's stuff that people are going to recognize, reverse the recording. And you'll still get that same kind of sound. So this, if you don't want to do all that work, and a lot of people want to go DAWless, and you don't want to set up recordings and noise gates and routings, you want hardware, bam. And because he had built his with solder because he's an engineer. Right. And you have this big giant thing he has to carry around. If you want a small unit to do something similar, well, somebody has made it. So that's actually, this is a synth with no real oscillators.
Right. That's awesome.
There's oscillators used for the tuning of the radio, but no oscillators that you can hear.
Yep, it's pretty cool. I was a little disappointed to find out, I guess I haven't fully found out, but I didn't see that you could do this. It doesn't look like you can. I think the coolest thing about the OP1 field, maybe the only cool thing about the OP1 field, is that it can broadcast to FM. So if you have a radio nearby, you can just play from it onto the radio via FM band. I thought that's really cool. Yeah. Like if you're in your car, you're driving someplace, that's actually clever. It would be kind of neat if this would broadcast as well.
Yeah. Well, and if you don't want to get the field, you can buy little car adapters that'll do that for you.
True.
Yeah. It's just a neat built-in thing, though.
But it's neat that it's built in. Absolutely. And you have to go through so many hoops with the FCC to be able to do that because the power levels have to be really locked down so you can't go in and just do a simple mod to jack its power up and then compete with real FM. So that was a lot of work for them to get implemented. So kudos to them for implementing that feature.
That's well
Yeah.
worth the
It's like the
$2,000.
one extra. Yeah.
And unlike the field, this also does shortwave radio.
Yeah.
But if you want to do this on the cheap, there are software radio stations and websites that you can do where you can tune into shortwave radio and FM bands and make your own recordings. And you can do really interesting things. And you don't need a license and you don't need any advanced radio equipment.
That is certainly true.
Just want to play the Russian woodpecker.
Like I've gotten number stations recordings this way and listened to like Southeast Asian radio.
Wonder if that's protected by U.S. copyright. I bet it's not.
Probably not. All right, y'all. Two more. Okay, 1.5 more stories because the last one's kind of a half a story, really.
Yeah.
All right, first one being the Third Wave Advanced Wavetable Synth. This new synth maker called Groove Synthesis came up with this thing called the Third Wave, which looks a hell of a lot like a PPG wave.
Sure does.
Golly, I'm surprised that no one's yelling about that. Has wavetable oscillators, analog filters, 24 voice polyphony, 4-part multi-timbral performance capability. Each of the 3 oscillators per voice can be classic PPG era wavetable, modern high resolution wavetables, or analog wave shaping. You can create up to 64 custom wavetables of your own with their tool. Linear FM, 6-stage wavetable envelope per oscillator, 4 envelopes and 4 LFOs, with delay, dual effects per part, pattern song-based sequencer per part, and a 16-slot mod matrix. No information about price or anything like that. I would imagine it ain't going to be cheap.
Yeah.
They
got J3PO, and the last synth that J3PO demoed was the OBX8.
Yeah.
So it turns out I'm going to bet that he's an expensive synth advertiser man.
Yes, I agree. It sounds phenomenal. It sounds really good. It looks sexy as hell. I love blue synthesizers. Will I buy one? Probably not, because it'll probably be ridiculously expensive. But of course, 3-Wave can send us, or I'm sorry, Groove Synthesis can send us this, and we'll be fine with that.
Baron's just making a BBG wave.
This one looks really cool.
So I've never gotten into wavetable synthesis, so I don't know how to really exploit it. The most I've really done is played with Serum and Vital, which is, the power of Serum and Vital is so much more than just a wavetable synth. I mean, because it's so modular in nature for all the synthesis stuff you can do, and then on top of that, the modular effects routing that you can do. So I've never used the Waldorf XTK or the PPG Wave, so I don't really know how to exploit these things. Obviously, I can just look at how many knobs are on this synth, and I know it's going to be expensive because every knob costs money. And it's not the parts, it's the labor to install them all right. Oh, yeah. So it's going to be expensive. Yeah. It's I'm sure it's a real professional tool, and something like this, it really comes down to the implementation. So I know the demos sound good now, and a lot of that might be based on the wavetable that you're playing back. So for me, it's going to come down to how good is the filter.
Right.
If the filter is great, that's everything. So I have a synth that, on paper is fantastic, but in implementation, the filter is terrible and I hate it. So it really comes down to how well it's implemented.
Yeah.
So
no, understandable.
I guess
we'll see. They'll probably have more. They'll have information about it at NAMM, which is starting tomorrow, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. And wavetable synthesis is one of the ones that's most used and most excited in a lot of music production, right?
Yeah, wavetable kind of like popped up a couple years ago back in onto the playing field, for want of a better term. I think with especially the Hydrasynth kind of brought, because that's one of the things that it does as wavetable, but it does wavetable in its own very unique way.
Yeah.
Wave morphing.
Morphing,
Yeah.
yes.
But wavetable's been big, like with Serum.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Massive does wavetable too. I can't remember.
No,
No,
Massive
anyway.
VA.
But yeah, Serum is it's very common, especially in dubstep, and you hear it a lot, but I don't know how to really properly explain.
Yeah.
it. So I don't know that much about it, but there's a real market for this. A lot of people will probably wind up getting it, like people with money, like people that make money doing music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, looks cool. Find out more about it, get more details. Tune in. Maybe eventually we'll have somewhere where we just post news stories, like, I don't know, a Discord, but that sounds like work, and I don't know if I feel like doing that much work or not.
Do an
People
RSS
tune
feed.
in to hear the stories.
Yeah, they can tune in, they can watch us talk about it 2 weeks later after the stories have been announced.
Yeah, I want to read all these stories and not hear all of our tangents.
Right? It's true. We should just put a Discord up and have no synth talk allowed at all. And it's literally just the tangents. Wow, that's a dramatic lighting there, Christoph.
Yep. See, tangent.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It'd literally just be the Tangents Discord. We talk about anything but synthesizers.
And only in extreme depth.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're not willing to go for 20 minutes,
If you cannot give us a 30-page diatribe on hand dipping wax candles over store-bought, then you don't belong on this Discord, and we will kick you off.
Right.
Like if I found out that you missed a single sentence of my Venture Brothers tribe, I will ban you from this.
Exactly. Like there has to be an entrance thing where they have to write an essay on something that they love that has not synthesizers.
Yep. No, they have to explain why on Star Trek the ships always approach each other face up, like they're in 3D space, but they're always
they're always
as if there's gravity underneath them and they're right side up. Why is it always that way? You need to explain that in your essay to get into the Discord.
And they've only used the Z-axis twice in Star Trek. Explain why.
Yep.
They don't have budget.
And we're not going for the validity of your
2x
answer.
budget.
The length of your answer is what determines.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Never mind that they've had Z-axis in submarine warfare for years. But at that point, they don't use it in space. All right. Final piece of news. Maybe we'll set this Discord server. It actually sounds like a lot of fun. Last piece of news, and like I said, this is half news really. Prepare for the synth influencer mega band with Heimbach, Cuckoo, and Look Mum No Computer. They're going to get together and they're going to form a synthfluencer supergroup, which to me just sounds like they're going to jam with whatever new thing, Electron gives them that day, and instead of doing a proper review, they're just going to jam on it together. Maybe they'll just do it all with OP1 fields.
Mm-hmm. They're actually not
with a Furby attached to it.
Funny enough, in their intro video, Cuckoo is playing with an OP1. That is what he brought. So then I saw that, I was like, oh, hipster. But then I saw him playing an old piano later, and it's like, oh, he can really.
He's actually a really talented musician. I'm not a big fan of his compositions, but he's.
I didn't want to like him, but it's like when I heard him play, it's like, all right, he can play.
Yeah, he can play. He's
on No Computer. On top of being a very creative inventor, he can crank out interesting stuff. So I have to give him credit as
his
well.
His cover of No Scrubs is phenomenal.
And Heimbach is definitely an avant-garde innovator. So they released videos for free. That are like the preview. It's like, hey, if you follow our Patreon, so you can watch this whole thing. So they all went to the museum of whatever Look Mom No Computers museum is. I can't remember the name.
This museum is not obsolete.
Yeah.
Obsolete. Yeah. Anyway, but they went in. The first jam session was Heimbach took recordings of Cuckoo playing piano, and then they jammed around that while Heimbach was modulating that piano recording, and Look Mom No Computer started playing on an MS-20, and they were deciding what of Look Mom No Computer's inventions to use, and he just quickly point out, well, we're limited to the ones that are working right now, which is not a lot of them. So So I don't know what's on the Patreon, but that you can check out a preview for free on YouTube. Probably on all three of their channels, they probably released the same video. They didn't make the video; they had somebody else professionally produce this video, and they give that person credit, and it was released.
Nice.
So,
Good.
talked earlier about like the synth lords of old. Well, this might be the synth lords of new.
I don't know. I think Heinbach is really good at wearing sweaters.
Yeah, he is.
I think that's his super talent. He's really good at wearing sweaters.
Cuckoo is
Yeah,
really good at being nice. I met him at Moogfest, and he was just like a really nice guy.
You know, he looks like the guy that lives in the closet in the movie Real Genius.
Yep.
He's got crazy eyes, but yeah, really nice and brilliant. So yeah, in his own weird way.
Yeah, really cool, really nice, really laid back, and like he taught me how to he taught me how to use the Octatrack.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Like his videos were really good. When he does deep dives into like especially electron stuff, he really shows you how things work, and it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Heimbach or Cuckoo, but I can't say that they're not talented. Yeah. And you know, what I will say is Heimbach, you know, he's definitely intentionally like, you know, weird, but the avant-garde is very important, and it's innovators, and he definitely knows what he's talking about. He knows his techniques. He's, you know, and he's doing it. So, you know, I have to give him credit. You know, I'm sure there's probably a plant next to one of his modulars, but he's a good person to have a modular.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, and you know, so anyway, so this is a thing that's happening.
Yep. Rick Rivet says, I don't know enough about aeronautics to know if manned spaceships kept themselves oriented to what would be upright in relation to planets, but you just gave me something to try to read about all night. Rick, I would
tell you what, Rick Rivet, if you go to message me on my Discord, and I'll tell you what my theory is for why Star Trek ships are always upright. And it's not like, well, because it looks good on TV. I actually have like one based on warp drive.
There you go. And Rick,
Universal coordinated uprightness.
And Rick Rivet, I would also recommend the videos of Scott Manley on YouTube. If you want to understand astronautics as well as astronomy and all kinds of crazy space news and stuff like that. He is a physicist on YouTube from Scotland, and he excitedly shows you how space works using Kerbal Space Program, which I would also recommend to learn how spaceships work.
That is a great channel. That's a very good recommendation.
Yes, and if people have not used Kerbal Space Program before, you really should. You're missing out on something in your life.
Do you want to drop a link into the chat for his channel?
Oh, for Scott Manley? Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
He's pretty amazing.
Although, you know, instead of reading about this all night, Rick Rivet, you could also go to bed. It's over.
What?
I know, it's crazy talk.
Ah, yes, bed.
But also, I mean, I know that's exactly what I would do, and it's terrible because I'm not a healthy person. And I would much rather, you know, read about something I just went OCD about until 6 in the morning, especially on a work night.
Right.
I got you, Tony.
There's the Scott Manley YouTube channel. And then for Kerbal Space Program, you got that?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Yeah, build spaceships, fill them up with little green dudes, and blow them up. Or get them into orbit.
Or blow them up many times over as you try to get them into orbit.
Yes.
Until you learn how that works.
Yes. It's half the fun, though.
Yep.
That's the story.
We did it.
We did another exciting episode of Tangents. Even with a power outage, there was supposed to be a big storm, but we didn't get it. But we did get a power outage out of it, so that was nice of them. Yeah. At least I don't think. I don't know.
If it wasn't that power outage, we totally would have been done on time.
Yep, we totally would have been if it wasn't for that 3 minutes of things rebooting.
Yeah, that 3 minutes actually cost us 18 minutes of going over time. I blame the power. It definitely wasn't me talking too much.
And that's exactly it. It was a power. It's always about the power. Anyway,
Yes.
Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Thanks for the great interaction on the chat. We always appreciate that. It helps keep us flying off the rails, which is important in this show, because if we were just reporting what we were talking about in our news for the past 2 weeks, we would be a bunch of British dudes doing this instead. Anyway,
Next, I'll repeat the Faulty Towers.
or Sonic Talk.
You're watching Channel 1.
So tune in 2 weeks from now. We'll probably be recapping all the stuff from NAMM 2022, if there is anything, outside of the 3 things we've already talked about. We'll probably also be discussing more. Let's see. I think the next version of the software for the MPC will be out by then as well. Maybe. No, it probably won't be. I think that won't be until the 29th is when we'll talk more about that. But we'll see what happens. So, always wonderful hanging out with everybody. By Ghosttron. That'll be released in 10 days. We'll be talking about that more. Maybe we'll do a special interview episode with Jeff about that and make him tell us the deep meanings of the music in 30-page essays.
Well, I'm ready for it.
That's cool.
We gotta be able to buy Christoph a light bulb.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea at some point.
We're gonna have to save up some money, so we gotta sell some of these. We gotta sell. we gotta sell some EPs over here,
right?
I got to get a napkin for here. I don't have a lamp for you.
Yeah, we totally need to do that so that way.
But in 2 weeks, when I'm back, I'll be back in my regular.
Your regular poorly
location.
lit location.
Well, at least that one I have a light on a tripod. Here I got this flashlight.
There you go. 1,000 downloads on a
Tony,
vinyl
I
release.
promised that if I get 1,000 purchases, I will look into a vinyl release, and we will see how feasible it is.
I can point you in the direction of people that master and press for vinyl.
I think at 1,000 sales, it'll be
Not
worth it.
age at least 30 records on vinyl, so there must be some
Yeah.
way to do that without breaking
It's
the
true.
bank.
Yep.
All right, folks, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're going to go over and...
He sucks.
What'd she say?
She said the 303 sucks.
That's true.
Oh yeah, still does.
That's why she's.
Hi.
100% right.
All right, everybody, let's go
Night,
over and
friend.
hang out with the Graceful Bard.
The Graceful Bard is great.
And
Check
Graceful.
it out.
And Bardish. Off we go.
And,
See you later, everybody.